Okay, so now we're going to look at queries. First of all, what is a query? Well, a query is a way of searching the database to get information based on a set of criteria. So it might be, for example, who has to pay an invoice. So let's have a look at query invoice. Okay, when I click on it, we can see the search results that come back are the customer's name. Okay, all the details are different apart from over here where we've got send invoice. So where does this information come from? Well, this is coming from the productions schedule table, and we can see that send invoice is for the BBC and send invoice for Cardiff Theatre. And if we pop back over here, BBC and Cardiff Theatre. Just to show you, if I was, for example, to send an invoice to Amstrad, so I'll choose send invoice there, get rid of deposit paid. Okay, I'll save that table. And we'll close that one down out of the way. And query invoice, if I close that one down out of the way. Now this time, when I open it up, we should see Amstrad added to the list. Yep, there it is. It's added it there. Okay, so that was the query actually working. Let's go ahead and have a look at it in design view. Okay, so here we are. This is where we design the query. Okay, so you can see this query is taking information from the table customers, production schedule, and the productions table to give us all the information that you've just seen in the query. Okay, let's go about recreating a new query. Well, what I'll do is I'll create this query as query invoice 2, so you can see the process that we go through. So let's close this one down out of the way. Don't want to save, yes I do. Okay, so to create a new query, we're going to go to create, and I'm going to choose query wizard. Okay, so for my new query, I'm going to choose simple query wizard and click on OK. And this is where I need to choose which table or query, because you can take query information from a query, that I want to get my information from. Okay, now you can query multiple tables, but we will always start with the first table, just one table to start with. Okay, so we'll start with customers, I think, on this one. So table customers, there it is. Okay, now the information I want for my query are the customer ID. I want the company name, the contact first name. I want their surname. What else we have? We'll have their telephone number. Okay. And we'll click on next. Okay, we'll call this query QRY invoice 2. Can't spell. Invoice that's better, invoice 2, and click on finish. Make sure we've got open the query to view the information there. Okay, and there's the first part of the query, so we can see the customer ID, company name, first name, surname, and their telephone number. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click on home, go back to view, and we're going to open the query up in design view. Okay, now this is just the design view where we can add new tables and then pull across the information from those tables into the query. Okay, so I've got my table customers, but I also want to know which production the customer has booked. Okay, so I'm going to right click here and choose add table or show table. It's not there, where is it? There we are, show table, it's up here. Okay, and the table I want is the production schedule, so I'll choose table production schedule, click on add, and I can see that one there. So I'll just click on close for a minute, open this up so I can see everything I need to see. And from this one I'm going to add, okay, so what I'm going to start doing now is adding information from the production schedule into the query as well. So if I click on table, I shall choose table production schedule. Okay, and from production schedule, I'm going to want the performance. So there it is. I'm also going to want the performance dates. And finally, I'll want the option of have we sent them an invoice. Send invoice. Okay. Now with send invoice, I'm going to add a little criteria here. If they've been ticked off in the database as send an invoice and I want to include them in the query, I can just simply type yes there. So that means every customer who's in the database who should have a tick by them in send invoice will appear in the query. Likewise, I can switch it round and I can choose no. So every customer whose query box has not been ticked would then appear in the query, but I want mine as yes. And finally, because this is a query invoice, I want the balance, the amount of money they're going to have to pay. So I need to get that. Now that is in the productions table in my example. So I'll show table and productions. There it is. Click on add. We'll see it appears there. Click on close. Let's just open it up so I can see what we've got. So finally, we're going to add productions and balance. Balance due. There it is. So I'm going to run my query now and see what happens. There we are, I've got my customer ID, the information that we saw in the first example. We've added the performance date, and yes, all of those have an invoice to be sent to them. They've all been ticked. And the balance due, which has come from the productions table. Now, if I go back, I can just show you the criteria. I'm going to change this to no. Okay, run the query again, and this time everybody else has come back, but look, the send invoice box has not been ticked. Okay, I'll go back and change it. You can use yes and no, or you can use true and false. One of those. So we just put true in. Okay, let's run it again. And it's a mismatch. If I spelt true properly, that would help. There we are. Okay, click on run, and you get exactly the same. So it doesn't matter whether you use yes or no, true or false, the output is the same. And that's how you create a query. Remember, a query is a method for searching the database to extract information. If we look at some of the examples I've got already set up, we've got the query invoice, query 7-day reminder, productions bookings, okay. There's different ones here, available performers. We've got a query for the backstage pass, okay. Which other ones are there? I think that's most of them. They appear under different tables, where you can see where the information has come from those tables. That's how it's linked in. Okay, so you can follow this video through now and start creating a practice query.